Peace, peace, IG. It's Daniel KC1 NCF tapping back in with you, family. And tonight we are doing a replay of a live that I attempted on, I believe it was Friday or Thursday night. We went live with Lizzie J of Bank on Lizzie J to talk about financial survival. But IG was playing games with me. I couldn't save that live. And so we're back to bring it to you because it was extremely powerful and timely information that we went over. So we had to bring it back to you, family. This is going to be a redo of financial survival with financial survival with Bank on Lizzie J. All right, so you all make sure y'all tap in and share this out with as many people as you can. I'm currently doing that now, bringing people into this live. I want everybody to tap in, and when you tap in, tag at least 3 other people. You can tag them in the comment section. You can share this post out to their inbox. You can find some way to get this live out because we want as many people to see this as possible. The days and the times that we're living in, the uncertain times that we're facing, I don't know how many of y'all pay attention to the news, whether it's reading articles, watching the actual news programs, or maybe you look up and follow the news online at your will. But one of the major topics in the news is actually inflation. There's some news stations that are giving a little bit of honesty around the reality of it, but many of them are really like trying to downplay it. The true state of the inflation in the economy, and also trying to downplay what inflation actually means, coming up with all kind of excuses and reasons why it's not that bad and this and that. Well, if you've been in the grocery store lately, if you've been in any type of home improvement place, then you know, like I know, that hold on, Sister Lizzie's in the building. Sorry, I was just sharing this live out. If you've paid attention at all, then you know, like I know, that this inflation thing is no joke. It's no joke. Real quick, I'm going to pin this comment. All right, and then we're going to bring Sister Lizzie in. All right, family. So again, this is a replay. Peace, Sister Lizzie. How you doing?
I'm fine. Can you hear me very well? I know I have some noise in the background, so can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
So I was just letting the people know that this is a replay. We did try to go live and IG was bringing people such a powerful topic. They didn't want to do that. So we had to bring it back and make sure we get this discussion on financial survival out to the people. So family, if you all tap in, please at least 3 people in the comment section and share this out to the inbox. So you little corner at the bottom and share this out. But we're going to get into it. So, again, the name of the discussion is financial survival with Bank on Lizzie J. That's what's new on.
I could barely hear you, but go ahead.
You can barely hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you. As you sat up, I could hear you better, but when you was down, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So I said that I'll let people know that if you do the recording, but I noticed that you actually changed your ID name to Bank on Lizzie J.
Yes, correct.
Yes,
yeah, it made more sense. It made more sense, and so I had to let people know more or less what I do by changing the name instead of having Lizzie J Live. So I did make some changes to it. But were you asking me to introduce myself? That's what you were saying?
Can you hear me? Is it clearer?
A little better now, yeah.
All right, let me put in both headphones. Is that even better?
Yes, that's better. Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. So yeah, yes, ma'am, absolutely. Can you introduce yourself to the people? Let them know what you do. Let them know what you don't do, and as far as the financial world.
Oh, as far as the financial world, I was going to say I don't do what you do. But yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So, hey guys, so I am Lizzie J. I'm basically the one-stop financial service, and what I do is I educate my community on financial literacy from startup all the way to taxation, and I do so by simplifying the connection between business, personal, and taxes. And I combine that by educating each individual how to structure the environment to increase the likelihood of making healthy financial choices. That's what I do. So basically, anything that deals with finance, I just about cover it. If I don't, I will refer you in the right direction. So
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
glad to be here, sir.
Yes, ma'am. So last time we were here, I went in and I read some definitions. I waited a little later last time, but I'm gonna just get into them now, just so that people have an understanding of some of the terminology we're going to use, of course, because we're dealing with finances, right?
Correct.
So number one, money. What is money, right? According to Google, right? Because I don't have a dictionary right in front of me. Money is a currency, a medium of. Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well.
All right. A current medium of exchange in the form of coins and banknotes, collectively. Also, assets, property, and resources owned by someone or something. Well, that's the important one out of this definition for me when it comes to money. It's the assets, the property, the resources owned by someone or something wealth. So money isn't just, dollar bills. It's not just coins, that we're used to, quarters, dimes, and nickels. Money is really anything that you can trade for goods or services. If you can trade it, it's considered money, right? Your thoughts. If you can transfer your thoughts into someone else's mind and they accept that and want to pay you for it, then your thought is considered a currency. That's money, right? And so I was going to stick with that one definition. Now, a few things that we're actually going to get into are how to budget for survival, plan for uncertainty, and plan for a potential grid down or collapse type situation. So I have a few different examples of reasons why someone might find themselves in a financial hardship, right? In three different categories. The top category is personal. These are things that people deal with all the time. Loss of employment or income, right? That's something that, more than likely every single person on this line has dealt with to some degree. We lost a job or walked away from a job. We, in some way, our income has shrunk, right? There's emergency medical or legal bills and expenses.
Correct.
Things happen, and we got to pay for it. Personal disasters such as home fires, floods, identity theft, or some other form of robbery, or death in the family. Something else that is a major one in our communities where it's unpredictable, but when someone dies or when there's some kind of disaster in your home, you're going to take some kind of financial hit if you're not prepared for that. And then regional. Regional means it's not just affecting you personally. It might be affecting your city, your state, your actual region. And that's adverse weather events, tornadoes, earthquakes, hurricanes, whatever have you, that might leave you either sheltered in place or displaced and unable to earn, and cause you to have to spend money for repairs and whatever have you. Then there's civil unrest, the type that shut down, cities, shut down blocks, you can't do business as usual. And then you have grid failure or blackouts. Something happens with the infrastructure that prevents you from being able to do what you have to do. And then you have the third category, which are national or international events, adverse weather events again. And you might think, well, if it rains in California, if it's wildfires in California, how's that affecting me here in Boston? Well, you have to understand how the economy works, right? There are a lot of things that are produced in California that are not being produced because, for instance, lumber. Over the years, a lot of timberland, a lot of land that was used to grow trees for lumber has burnt. And because of that, the demand of lumber doesn't go down, but the supply does. And that has an effect on those who are in the building trades and their ability to be able to build. But if there's a certain type of storm happening in China or somewhere else that manufactures something that we use here, it's going to have an effect on the economy. You have grid or infrastructure failure again. pandemic level events, something that none of us are strangers to. You know, we might not have thought that we would see in our lifetimes. But yeah, you know, the last year and a half to 2 years, we've experienced a pandemic level event that has had a tremendous impact on the economy. Some people have thrived. Some people have done decent or well, but many have suffered financially. And then you have economic collapse or hyperinflation, and then civil war or international war. These are some things that might happen that will affect your finances to some degree or another. Is there anything that you think I might have missed in that list, or something you would want to add?
Oh, you did a great job. The only thing that you did not cover is the actual money area of it, as far as being prepared and what should they do in case of an emergency, as far as having liquid cash or funding. That portion of it. That's the only part of
Oh,
it. So yeah. So
so
go
I
ahead.
so so no, I was gonna leave that part for you. I was just reading off, you know, the different reasons why someone may find themselves in a financial bind, right? And so that's where the first question comes in. Um, how does one prepare financially for any one or all of these different types of events?
Okay, so guys, the best way to do it is to practice from now, and it's consider being disciplined in yourself. Once you know that you have a job, especially those of you that is work for someone, a W-2 earner, I will call you guys. If you're working for W-2, the best way for you to start saving for an emergency is to have the money directly withdrawn from your account. You could do it through having it your employer, if you're having direct deposit that money into her emergency account for you, that of your choice. Or you can do it through a program that your employer set up for you for retirement. This is one of the ways that you can do it, like the 401k, the 403b, the 403b. Depends on
Hmm.
what you do on job. This is the most easiest way if you're not very disciplined. It's more or less like set it and forget it. You take it out off the top, so you never count it in it as part of your income because it's already swiped off the top of your money. So that is one
Right.
of the good way if you're not disciplined. But if you're a very disciplined person, and when I say discipline, right, let me say right now, there's no disrespect. As far as when I say discipline, I'm talking about if you're very structured in saving money, because a lot of us,
Hmm.
we got to pay our bills and pay everything in the current than to save for the future, because we don't know what tomorrow will bring. And the government do have a lot of stuff in place, as far as they have the EBT, they have the the COVID checks and everything, but those money is not enough. Entrepreneur on your own and not going to a W-2, you need to start doing it that you could separate your emergency from your saving. Because I know if you're
Hmm.
saving money, you need to still have saved money for emergency. And I know many of you have been told 3 to 6 months. My suggestion and my advice to you, as I've done for my client then, is to always continue saving. Never stop at
Right.
6 months, because you don't know how long maybe a pandemic may last. You don't
Right.
know if you how long you're going to be out of a job. So that
That's
is
right.
something. Never stop saving. You guys keep doing it, doing it, doing it. This is my recommendation to y'all. And the bottom line, in case of an emergency or pandemic, you will need something liquid. And I know I mentioned 401k before, but 401k is not one of the best vehicles for you to grab money out of in case of emergency. But what I was
Right.
telling you is a way for you to start disciplining yourself as far as saving. It's not a place for you to look at for emergency, because you will be hit one way or the other with the ramification of it. So I'll just mention it just so you know. Even the bank itself is not the best place for you to keep money for it to grow over time. But these are just vehicle that you can use in the case of emergency. That's basically what I'm saying. So the bottom line is you got to structure yourself and become a little bit more disciplined when it comes to money. And those of you who have saved for 3 to 6 months, and don't stop there. Continue doing it.
Yeah,
And
make that your minimum, but not your goal.
And I must stress, guys, emergency fund and saving account is 2 different things.
Right.
So please, emergency is for stuff like anything that you're giving away. An emergency is basically what it says, emergency. If you plan for emergency will always comes up. It's just like it's something that you put it in. If you put it into the universe, it will come back. So if you calling your saving account emergency, guess what? You never get to save for what you really want to save. You will be always using that money for emergency. And I know a lot of financial experts out there don't teach you guys this, but listen to me. Separate them, emergency and saving. But I know, let Brother Daniel continue with his next question.
No, you was on it. You was on it. And so, family, again, this is Financial Survival with @Bank on Lizzie J. Her tag is right there, pinned on the bottom. Make sure if you're not following her already, you go and follow her. Also, you can put any questions that you may have in the question box or the comments below, and we will do our best to get to them. So there are basically 7 or 8 different focuses that I want to go over. No particular order necessarily, and some things are overlap and might seem redundant or repetitive to people. But really, when we're talking about finances, when we're talking about anything, like Sister Lizzie says, where we need to gain some form of discipline, repetition is best. Hear it, drive it home, get it into your mind. You need to be more disciplined with your finances in order to actually truly prepare for whatever type of situation you may find yourself surviving through. Okay, so at the top of my list as a solution is insurance. You have life insurance, you have health insurance, you have all different types of property insurances. And some of the things I read earlier about loss of employment, adverse weather, and all that, there are different types of insurance policies that cover those. So do you want to talk a little bit about insurance, different types of insurance policies, and what people can protect themselves against with insurance?
Okay, there's many types out there, guys. So it is true that insurance is one of the quickest way for you to build generational wealth. That is absolutely true. But not all insurance are made equal. It's just like your fingers are not all fingers are equal. That's the same thing for insurance. And I know you all have heard many types of insurance. But the best one out there right now on the market and been around for many, many years. It's just that we was not aware of it. The banks knew about it. The 1% rich knew about it. But now it's being brought to light by the society. And one of the first person that I know that did bring it to light for many of us and broke it down for us brown and black people is none other than Dr. Jake Taylor Jacob. If you guys don't know him, you could just plug his name in and you will find him. He brought it to the front light, and now there's a lot of people is talking about it. Now, the type of insurance in that is very liquid. It grows 4 to 8% to beat inflation rate. Is no penalty on it, and it grows tax-free. So it's not like your bank account that when you get 10% interest, if they do $10 in interest for the whole year, they slap you with a 1099 and say, go see your tax person. So these are the difference of it. And like I said, that this is the quickest way for you to grow generational wealth.
That's right.
Because no one knows tomorrow if something happened to you or a loved one. You're automatically going to receive that money that is there for them without you having to put much of your time, your sweat, and your effort in there. Just as long as you keep your payment up to date, you will always have courage for you and your family. And the good thing about it, you can also operate your life out of that that type of insurance, and we call it. You hear us mention it as private banking, own your own
Hmm.
bank, and we will call it the reserve, insurance reserve. We call it
Insurance
many
there.
things, but it's still basically is the same thing. You being able to have insurance where you could operate your life out of it and be, or like you will be like the bank for yourself. So those are the type of insurance that is out there. What not the type. That's one of the best. How
Hmm.
I should say it
There
is
you
the
go.
best. There is other type that if you right now you're not financially ready to get that type of insurance, you could always go with the term life insurance, which is will cover you and your family in case of anything. But can you operate your life out of it? No, it's like it says, it's temporary. It's just like the 401k or all the other program out there. If you guys throw susu, and that's another way, that's temporary. So think of
Right.
the term life the same manner.
Right.
Okay, so I hope I drop enough gem. But if you guys have more question and you want me to break it down a little bit more, go ahead and drop question there. We will answer your question as it comes in. So don't feel free to do so, and guys also share it out. But I'll turn it back over to Brother Daniel. Let him handle that portion of it.
Yes, ma'am. So, no, so that's very important for the people to know because I didn't know anything about it too until I heard Dr. Jake Taylor Jacobs talking about it. It's like, okay, I mean, I've heard of insurance, but my mind was you get insurance, life insurance. I'm never going to see the money. If I die, my family will get the money, right? And so that's definitely one of the best ways to go to secure your family for survival after you die. But then Brother Jake told us, no, 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 no. This is an insurance policy that has a living benefit where you can borrow from it, which you're really borrowing from yourself, and that helps your family if something should happen to you, but also you can use that bank to fund whatever it is whatever you want to, really, because it's your money that you can borrow with minimal penalty. And so, thank you for that. One question about that: if people are interested in getting that type of insurance, are you able to help them with that?
Absolutely, absolutely. So if you're willing to, if you're interested in getting that, I will be able to help you, and you know where to find me. Bank on Lizzie J on IG. That's where the quickest way to reach me, and I will be gladly help you in that manner. But if when we do sit down and I find that you're not ready to process that way, I will teach you how to get out of the financial cancer state that you are in into a wellness cure in order for you to get that bank. So there's no hope lost if you're not ready. I will guide you a step along the way. I will give you the blueprint according to the blueprint that we have been taught ourselves by none other than Dr. Jake Taylor Jacob. So you will be getting your own blueprint and your guidance, but it's up to you as an individual. Don't wait on it. You need to hop on it now. No one knows what tomorrow will bring. And one of the good things that people used to think in the past that, oh,
Hmm.
why, and Brother Daniel just said it also, that why should they have insurance because they're not going to be benefiting from it? Um, Put it this way. You know that you have a living benefit, but even if you were not ready to get the insurance banking and you just was able to get term, forget about that. What happened if someone in your family, God forbid it happen, your wife pass away, your sibling pass away, your child pass away, or your mom and dad, and you did not have them cover on insurance? Guess what? You be in the line for the GoFundMe. So
Right.
you have these individual cover, and now, even if you thinking that if you pass away, you will never get the benefit about it. What if they pass away? Now you got to come out of pocket wherever you have your money in order to cover the bill, because you may have people in your family looking up to you as the person who will be there, the one who will run the show, be in charge and everything, and they will be looking to you, and you would not have the money because you did not utilize the gems that we are dropping tonight in order to get the proper coverage.
Right. And so that's important too, extremely important, right? There's really, because you're getting hit twice. You're not just getting hit on one side of your face when it's a death in your family and there's no insurance. Because not only are you, if your spouse was, bringing some of that income in, not only did when they pass, are you losing the income, but you have to come out of your pocket to pay for services and stuff. So it's really a double whammy. So that insurance is going to come in handy. And we're not talking about, if you can only afford burial insurance, do what you can do. And that's going to lead into the next question I have, right? Do what you can do because you need something. But really, you want the type of insurance where it's going to cover the burial, it's going to cover all those expenses, and then you still have something else that's going to help you through that tough time. But that leads to another question, because you said you used a term that many people might not be familiar with, which is financial cancer. Again, something I didn't know anything about until Brother Dr. Jake Taylor Jacobs opened my mind to it. So tell people, what is financial cancer and why is that important to understand?
Okay, financial cancer is basically, it teaches you what stage of debt that you are in. So he put it in the terms of financial cancer by the cancer stage, in that way to break it down to the people. So a lot of people have had one or somebody in their family or know someone close, and they know the steps, the stage, not the step, the different stage of financial cancer. And they know what stage 1 is all the way to stage 1. We know that stage 4 is the most dangerous place to be. So by going through your income and your expense and what you are putting out and what you're bringing in, we'll be able to see the stage of financial cancer that you are in. And by doing that, then we will be able to cure it. And unlike stage 4 of financial cancer, our stage 4 financial cancer, you can recover from it if you are disciplined enough and you follow the procedure and step. Because we can only teach you, we can only take you where the water is.
Right.
And tell you there is a fish, but it's up to you to learn how to actually fish. So we can do so much, but it's up to you. And we will lead your hand all of the way. It's not an issue. And you guys already know where to find me. So there we go.
Yes. Yeah, and she's a financial strategist, specifically a financial strategist, and that's what you need. Once you figure it out what stage you're at, you need a strategy to get from that stage to the stage that you want to be. So make sure that's happening with this. So next on the list, right? Budgeting and eliminating debts and liabilities. You can't talk about money, you can't talk about finances if you ain't talking about budget. If you're not trying to eliminate your debts, avoid and eliminate liabilities. So you want to touch on that?
Absolutely. Budgeting, without a shadow of a doubt, it is the foundation of finance. You don't need to have a budget, but not many people will survive financially without a budget. Budget is like a blueprint, and it gives you the guide and get you to where you need to go much quicker. That's why I said you don't need to have a budget, but everyone should have a budget to get where they need to go without much stumbling and much quicker. But many people see budgeting as a hindrance, a restriction, but actually it is quite the opposite. It is where it brings freedom, because you know where everything is going. You tell your money where to go, when to go, and how to go. Instead of your money have you turning in circle and telling you where to go and when to go. Would you rather your money work for you, or you continue working for your money, doing that 9 to 5, doing that every day as an entrepreneur in the office, burning inside out, don't know when the next bill is coming, scared of the next bill, scared to open an envelope? Or would you rather be able to say, hey, you go here, you go here. This the one comes in and say, oh, we need to pay you, like, well, I got enough time. I can put you over here and pay you when I want to pay you, not when you tell me to pay you. This is the kind of state that you need to be in life. That's why budgeting is very important. But like I said, you don't have to. But it is a beautiful blueprint, a beautiful guideline. It's like when you have in a GPS, you jump in your car and you plug in the GPS. Do you really need the GPS to go to your direction? Not necessarily so. You may not go, you may not have to go from your home to your office, your home to work, and you know this route. But with a GPS, if you turn on the GPS, if there's an accident up the road, it will tell you. So then you know how to reroute to get to where you gotta go. It's the same thing with a budget, the same scenario. It is a guidance. Must you have it? No. Should you definitely have it? Yes. And that's what I have to say on a budget.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It is key. And dealing specifically with survival, I teach radio communication and survival preparedness. I speak to people about starting that journey towards acquiring different types of preps, food, water, gear, equipment, all kind of resources for them to have. And it's always like, okay, well, I'm not bringing in any more income than I was, right? So how do I fit that in? And I have to tell them, one of the best things to do, first of all, is take an assessment, take stock and inventory of where you are, okay, and not just the physical stuff, because that's a part of it too. But when you take stock and inventory, you're taking stock and inventory of you need to know what debts you do have, because
Yes.
Oh yeah, I know all about those letters that you don't even you flip them upside down in a folder in a drawer that you never go into. So, but you might have to pull those out and take a look at them and see, okay, a couple thousand here, another 100 here, 200 there, maybe 1,000 over there, and see where you're at. Assess your situation, take stock and inventory of it. And because you're going to have to start budgeting for that as well. I tell people, don't start buying gear and equipment and all this stuff if you're still in debt in other places, right? So then that's why number 2 is budgeting and eliminating debts and liabilities. So that's the thing for me when it comes to survival. Don't start accumulating this stuff, because at the end of the day, you're spending money that you don't got, money that don't belong to you. Now, whenever you've eliminated debts, you've eliminated some of the liabilities, cutting out the coffee, maybe you start making your own coffee instead of going to Dunkin' Donuts. If you smoke cigarettes, drink alcohol or weed, either stop or decrease. Like me, I'm a junk food eater. I've decreased that tremendously. Less time out, more time in with your family. These are things you can do to help you find money where it already is. Stop wasting it on certain things, or decrease the amount of spending you have in certain areas, and you'll have more to spend on maybe a better life insurance policy. You might have a little bit of extra money to go buy you a generator, or put together a pantry of some shelf-stable food just in case things do hit the fan. Maybe you can go buy you one of those 50-something boxes of toilet tissue, so the next time something jumps off, you can wipe your behind, right? So that's important, because survival can be, or preparing for survival can be very costly, and you have to be financially responsible and ready for that journey. So the next thing I have on my list is build your mind and skill set. You are your most valuable asset. Let's deal with that one.
You want me to answer that?
Yes, or just build on it. Build on that from the perspective of a financial strategist. Somebody says, build your mind and skill set. You are the most valuable asset.
Okay, build your mind and skill set because you're the most valuable asset. That is absolutely correct, because if you look at it from a financial point standard, if you are the breadwinner in your family and something happened to you, guess what happened with that income? It's gone. So basically, you are the most important asset in that scenario as far as finance. That's one of the way of saying it. Another way of saying it is you are most important asset because you are God gift to this earth to your family and to this generation. So you definitely are your most important asset, but your life is the most important asset, because without it, there is no you. There is no existence of your family members. If you have kids or your wife would not be your wife. The bottom line is, that's it. If that's all I can say as far as your question, and or if you are asking me something else besides that, do tell me.
Well,
But
so when I say build your mind, gain knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, what are some things that people can become more knowledgeable about? Be more wise with how they handle things when it comes to
oh,
finances.
okay. All right. So one of the ways that I know you were just talking about spending money and be wise about what you're doing. One of the good ways that I tell people, and the best way for them to be learn skill set, is to open an account. And when they open an account, I know I talk about the emergency account and I talk about the saving account. But what I
Hmm.
didn't cover was the spending account.
Ah,
And one of
yeah,
the best way of doing that, whatever you have in that spending account, and you see something that you want, I tell people never, 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 never say you can't purchase something because you're trying to budget. I said whatever is in that spending account, and you see something that you want and it costs $400 and you have $400 in there, go ahead and use it. That is your spending account. Just go
right,
ahead and use it. When it's done, that means it's done. So it's bottom line is, if you know that you only work for $30,000 a year, you're not going to go buy a mansion, right? Because you know you
right,
can't afford the mansion. It's the same thing with that spending account. When that whatever is done in there, you can't go any more further. So you won't go rob a bank
right.
to go buy it, right? So therefore, you just use what you got. So the same is the same scenario. So that is my idea on the mindset when it comes around financial. Always get what you want whenever you want, just as long as your spending account cover it.
Exactly.
So I
Yeah,
don't restriction on budget when it comes to spending. I say just spend what's in your spending account, and then you wait until you replenish it again, and then you go keep going. That's the way I do it.
yeah. That's sound advice. I said this last time. When that at one point in time, I was getting paid direct deposit. I still get paid direct deposit, but I switched up the way I've done it. What I
Mhm.
did was I had my employer to divide my payout, meaning X amount was going direct deposit into savings, a certain amount was going direct deposit into a spending. I didn't call it a spending account, but an account that I could play with. A certain amount went to the account that literally had all my auto pays on, so I'm not thinking about it. They're just going to take that phone bill money out. I don't even want to look.
Correct.
So I have one of those, an auto pay account. All the things that need to just happen. Um,
Correct.
and it helps out tremendously. So that's wise. If you have that spending account and I've paid the phone bill, I've paid the light bill, I've paid the gas bill, I've paid the car note, I've paid all the things that need to be paid, and there's $250 left over. I'm gonna put that in my spend. Well, no, no. So bills are paid. I'm gonna put out of 250. I might put 125 in my emergency account. I might put, 75 in my savings account, and then I'll keep the other 50 for my spending account, right? Hopefully
Nice.
you can afford to spread it out a little bit more. I didn't make that much money in my 9 to 5, so but that makes perfect sense, and that is very sound advice. Y'all should take notes on that. Again, family, we are talking financial survival with Bank on Lizzie J. Put your questions in the comment section or in the question box below. We thank you all for tapping in. If you're not following us, please hit that follow button. Also, tag some people in the chat and share this out into your DMs. If you think that you found value here, then that means somebody else might as well.
Mhm.
So another thing on building your mind and your skill set. When you talk about, again, if you're the breadwinner in your family, or if you're not the breadwinner, but you bring a significant amount of money to the table,
Mhm.
and you do lose your job, and that's all you've done, and that's all you know, well, then you're going to be stuck until you find another job doing that same field of work. But if you've invested in learning other ways to make money, if you've invested in another skill set or knowledge where you can now go off, okay, I lost my job working in the kitchen, but I might be able to go mow some lawns. I might be able to go paint some walls. I might be able to go, groom some dogs. That's a skill set. If you have the skill set, then you can always pivot. You can always make a change to continue to bring in some kind of income. Peace. We got Sister Colette tapping in, special guest in the building. She's always a special guest when she's on my channel. And so, build the mind in your skill sets, because if something happens tomorrow, you lose that job again, or something happens in your business, having another skill set gives you an opportunity to go in and pull on that for more resources. And at the end of the day, no one can take that from you.
Amen.
That's the most important part. No one can take it from you. Your knowledge, you might not even have to go paint. You might just be able to teach somebody how to paint. You might be able to counsel somebody on something that that you've done. You might say, okay, well, I can't get to work. I might be physically impaired now, but I was a painter. But could you write a book on painting, right? Or whatever it is that you're doing. That knowledge, that skill set is always going to bring another form of income if you apply yourself. So that's definitely an important one for financial survival. Next, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but let's talk on it more specifically. Do for self as a solution in a plan for financial survival.
Do for self as a plan in financial survival. Well, that goes back to what we was talking about earlier. When you're doing for self, you cannot wait on the government to be there for you. Like, people will be waiting, maybe, their Social Security or their pension or their retirement in the Roth IRA or the traditional IRA. Doing for self is placing your money in the right place and be strategic about it, because
right.
The survival mode, we all know how the economy and inflation has gone. Not to say that that pension or the retirement fund may have the amount that you want. You're losing money in those areas. So doing it for yourself is strategically learning the lesson that we are teaching you tonight, or tapping in on it and placing your money where you know that it will grow the generational wealth. That's one of the ways to do for self financially. And let everybody say, my 401k has this amount, my retirement has this amount. But with inflation, how much you think the market is going to crash? Is it really keeping pace with the market? You may think you have such a stature amount away in the bank, which is one of the worst places to do it. But what if you had it into your own bank? Right. That's basically doing for self. Where you have the vehicle that you have it in now, it's not really doing for self. That's the saying. That's basically doing for a rainy day. Maybe if it cover a rainy day. Right. But doing for self is putting it in the where you could bank on it, that it will be there in your time of need. That's basically from the financial side. So I'll be quiet for a little bit and let you go for it, sir. So do for self really, it could have been number one, or you could attach do for self to any one of these points that we're talking on. It is the most secure way to assure your financial survival. And why is that? It's because when you do for self, it means you're not working for somebody else. You're working for yourself. This goes back into the increase your mindset and your skill set. Because if I go to my 9 to 5 and I put in 8 hours, whatever my rate of pay is, that's what I get in that 8 hours. If I choose to and I accept overtime, it's still at the same. They might do a time and a half. They might do double pay depending on what the circumstances. But there's still a cap, right, on how much I could make. Right? It's only 24 hours a day, and I'm not working those 24-hour shifts. There might be doctors that do that. There might be officers that do that. I'm not doing that. But I don't want that kind of cap. When you do for self, you control how much time, how much energy, and how much value you bring to the table. So you can say, okay, I've been doing well for the last 6 months, okay? But I see something coming down the road. I feel something coming down the road. I need to start making a little bit more money. You're not on nobody else's clock.
You're not on somebody else's time schedule. So you're going to say, okay, well, I'm going to spend a little bit more time putting out a little bit more time putting out content. I'm gonna spend a little bit more time painting. I'm gonna spend a little bit more money on advertisement. I'm gonna bring in some other people to help me increase in different parts of my business so that we can bring in more revenue. When you do for self, you have the option to grow in whichever direction you want to. So when we're talking about financial survival and preparing for financial survival, look at what's happening. Look at the inflation. Look at the price of the food. Look at the price of the lumber. Look at the job. Look at how many jobs are available that no
Correct.
one's taken.
Correct.
There's something there, right? Look at the relationship between this nation and other nations that historically we've done business with to one degree or another, and those relationships are failing. There's more going on with this economy than you realize. And when you do see it and you start to think about financial survival, if you need to get a second job, get a second job. If you need to hustle, whatever, do that. But what I want you to do, and what Sister Lizzie would advise you to do to some degree, is to think about what you can do for yourself with your own time and energy to pad the savings. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Yeah, if I may say something on that, you just touch a point that I would like to cover. I know a lot of people as not going back to work because they're getting that unemployment stuff money. But what they're not realizing, when you do for self while you're young and you're able to and you are healthy enough to do so, you should do for yourself, because you may think that what you're going back to may not be as much as unemployment is giving you. But when you think about it, maybe yes, when they first start giving it out, but now they're giving maybe the top, or maybe say three and change or less a week. If you're doing for self, you're putting yourself in a better situation for your survival than to be waiting on a stipend from the government. Because if they
Right.
just to pull that away, guess what's going to happen? You who was not doing for self and was waiting on them to provide for you, that's like the man who was given the fish and was not taught how to fish for himself.
Right.
But that is not survival. You may think it's survival, and it could be strategically survival if you know how to use that money right that you're receiving. Not thinking about as free money while you sit back and you relax. If you know how to use that money that is coming into you right now that you didn't work for, and you strategically put it in the right vehicle, then you are working for survival. But right now, if you're just sitting back and just taking it, oh, I didn't work hard for it, let me just spend it anyhow I want, you are setting yourself up for failure, because tomorrow they may just come and pull the plug and say, the U.S. is totally bankrupt. We can't, every man for themselves.
Right.
So go ahead,
Right.
sir.
No, that's real. Sister Colette bore witness. She said inflation is crazy. I just bought 6 pounds of apples for $13. I was making applesauce, but they only produced 2.5 pints. Now I can. So I I understand your pain, sister. And I teach survival preparedness, and I prepare. I have all kind of food and stuff prepared, right? I'm practicing operational security right now, for those who don't know. And so the reality is that if you go into the grocery store right now, you're gonna see it. If you
Yeah.
don't see it, then you're not paying attention. I mean, everything has gone up, and don't look at necessarily the dollar amount. Look at the percentage at which it's gone up. If something cost 30 cents before and it went up to 50 cents, you might say extra 20 cents. That's 60% increase. That's a lot. That's a 66% increase. From 30 cents to 50 cents is a lot, family. And you might not look at it that way, but also look at the packaging. It's really getting serious out here. So, hey, packaging is shrinking. Prices are going up. So, real quick tip for the people, like Sister Lizzie said already as well. You don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. You don't know the day nor the hour that struggle is going to befall you. You know, disasters wait for no one, or they're unpredictable, and time waits for no one. You have to start now. You have to start now. Get out there and whatever you have, again, assess what your financial situation. Pull back on spending money on things you don't need. Put that towards food, water. Put some of that into maybe a better insurance policy, into things that are going to help you. That when things hit the fan, you have some kind of cushion. You have something that you can fall back onto. That's another part of financial survival. So thank you. This next one. Again, family, if you have any questions, please put them in the comment section or in the question box. We are taking questions.
We'll share it out.
Yes, and share this live out, please. Please share this live out. Tag some people in the comment section if you think they'll benefit from it. So now the next one I have on my list, number 5, diversify your currency mediums. Diversify your currency mediums. So what I mean by that, people used to hear in terminology, diversify your portfolio. But what I'm saying is, currency is a medium of exchange. If somebody needed a pen bad enough, they needed it bad enough because they had to quickly sign his check or something because there's a deadline for something, and they needed it, and I was the only person with a pen, I could say, yeah, give me $1. But they need that pen because they got to sign it. It might be a $10 million deal that they got to sign for, but it's a timeline. I could charge them to use my pen. This now becomes a form of currency. That might sound crazy to somebody, but think about it. I've been in all kinds of situations where people have just bought stuff off of me randomly.
Yeah.
Sneakers, literally. Bought a pair of sneakers off me. Walking down, yo, bro, where'd you get those sneakers from? One of a kind. And I sold them on the spot because the price was good enough. I thought when I bought them, the transaction was done, but they weren't. But it wasn't. That's a crazy story, but it's true. And so, diversify your currency mediums. What are some ways that people can take their physical cash or the money they have in the bank, which is basically ones and zeros? What are some other forms of currencies they can put those in, to your knowledge, where they could, in a way to secure their money?
Okay, I know there's a lot of talk on crypto and all that, and Bitcoins and all those stuff over there. But that is not my specialty area, but I know that's one way of doing it. And to make your asset liquid, that is where my area comes in, that you need to have it liquid, make a lot of liquid asset, because if you just
what does that mean for people who don't know? What does it mean, liquid, for people who don't know?
Liquid mean that you could easily come into cash on it. That's what it means. So if that would be something like an emergency fund. If you have an emergency fund, then you could go ahead and pull that money out. Have cash on hand, certain amount. Don't go get your whole bankroll and stuck it in your house. Because just as you put it in your house, the other owner that you didn't know was owner may be happy to know that you put it in there. I'm not suggesting that. So make sure that you have quick access to it. Anything that you could turn into cash rapidly is actually liquid. Okay? So if you know you have something that you can't really turn over quickly, then that is not liquid. That's what I mean by liquid. Okay? Yes, so that is one of the ways a lot of people speak about, like I said, the Bitcoin and the crypto. That is not my specialty area because I choose not to go in that area at this time. But I could point you in the right direction if you do need someone to help you in that area. And that's basically it right there. They could put it in different vehicle like insurance, banking, but that's all liquid. All that's still no matter how I slice it, it boils down to being liquid. So I could mention all the different type of account, but the bottom line is it has to be liquid.
Yes, ma'am. And so from real quick you said something about not taking out your whole bankroll, but having some kind of cash on hand. I want to touch on that from a survival point of view, from a prepper's point of view. When you do take out cash and you have cash in your home or just in general, you took out cash for emergency, emergencies or whatever have you. Never put all your cash in one spot. And I don't just mean, because you have some under the bed, you have some in your pocketbook or your wallet. Literally spread it out. You want to find out, first of all, what's the minimum that you might want to have? At least enough to fill up your tank. How much does this cost to fill up your tank? How much would it cost to pay for a flat repair tire? You want to have, if possible, enough for you to be able to evacuate, meaning you already have a route planned, a place that you would go if you was ever displaced by a natural disaster. This is things that I kind of teach in my survival preparedness class. When it comes to bugging out or sheltering in place, you should already have a predetermined location that if you had to evacuate, you could go to. So from the survival point of view, you want to have enough money to make that trip. That's why you need the full tank of gas. That's why you need to be able to change a tire. You want to have enough money on you to be able to pay tolls and buy food and possibly clothing. So figure out what is that minimum amount of money you want or you need, and then take that and multiply it by 3. Have that on hand, but you want to have some in the house. Split the first third in the house, maybe if you want under your mattress, some in the closet, some under the couch cushion, whatever have you, but don't put it in one spot, because if somebody finds that stash, that's your whole stash. Split it up. But that's only 1/3 of it. The other third, which is 2 times the amount of your minimum, you want to have that maybe possibly in your vehicle. And some kind of boxes locked in your vehicle in some kind of stash spot if that's possible. And the third spot, you may be at your office, or at your in-laws' house, or your one of your children's house if you have grown children. But find other places to put your money. So I just wanted to touch on that.
Yeah, and I want to touch on also, it does not have to actually be cash. And when I say liquid, you could always do what is called the barter system. That's how you pronounce
Barter.
it. Barter system. So you have something that of asset that you could trade off with someone. Say someone need a frying pan, but they have all the ingredients to put in the frying pan. But you have all the frying pan and you don't have the ingredients. You could switch. You can make changes. That's just me putting it simple for you.
Exactly.
So that's another way with asset that is liquid but without being cash. You're doing that exchange. So that's another way of being financially for financial survival. It's another way of doing it.
Exactly. And then, again, that's something else that I teach in my class is you have to be prepared for the day and the time where if there's some kind of grid failure. Right now, most of our money is in ones and zeros. You go to the bank. What happens if there's a blackout and you can't go to the ATM? You can't go to the bank. Then that savings account, that emergency account ain't going to do you no good. That debit card, there's a blackout on a block or something happens, there's some kind of cyber attack, and they say we're not accepting anything but cash. What good is that debit card? It's not cryptocurrency, that's an electronic transaction. So having other physical liquid currencies is important. And so one of the things I tell my students is that, in a real collapsed world, rice, beans, water, seeds, coffee, sugar, salt, flour are all going to be worth more than gold.
Correct.
Point blank period. Diapers, baby wipes, baby formula, those things are going to be worth more than gold. When you talk about financial survival from the survival aspect of it, having those kind of things on hand, you need your own food and whatever you have you. But then again, like Sister Lizzie said, you got an emergency fund and then you got a savings. The emergency is the stuff that you got that is not leaving your pantry. It's for you, it's for your household. When things hit the fan, you're not trading it, you're not giving it to nobody. But then you also have a 50-pound bag or something over here, a few ounces or something over there that you can use to trade and barter with. Just in case, right? So that's another way to plan for financial survival. Diversify your currency mediums.
There you go.
Yes, ma'am. And so the next one, this is a very, very big one. Prepare your community. Build strong and mutually beneficial relationships. How does one prepare their community financially?
From the financial side of it is financial literacy. You gotta keep educating people, and even though they know it, about the key is repetition. You gotta keep repeating it. You gotta repeat. Sometimes people know, but then life get in the way that they forgot what you taught them. So you gotta keep repeating, repetition, 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 and let
Right.
them know this is the right way to do it. Yes, Tom told you how to do it this way, but wouldn't it make sense that if you do it this way? Perfect example when I'm talking about the emergency fund and the saving fund, to separate them. People been taught to put that way for emergency, but they was never told you need to separate them both. There's not one and the same. The same thing
Right.
as expense account. Expense account should be the expense account that I talk about is expense account for you. That's where you spend for you. Not talking about for your bills and everything. I'm talking about your spending account. I'm sorry, not expense account. Your spending account is for you,
Right.
personal use. So those are different ways that they could learn. And its bottom line is repetition, repetition. Because I could tell somebody, they said repetition at 8 times and they finally sink in. I said keep telling them until they finally sink in, because some people it takes
Right.
very longer than 8 repetition of a time to tell that individual.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
be an example. Be an example of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, when I teach it, prepare your community is huge, because I did a live a few weeks ago. The title was "You're only as prepared as those around you."
Correct.
I can have all of the preps in place I want. I can be as prepared food, you know, water, electricity, and all that kind of thing, generators. But the reality is that I have neighbors. If I have it and they don't, it's only going to be a matter of time before they realize. We see Brother Daniel all the time. He don't look like he's hungry. You know, his lights is always on. We can smell food coming from next door. Someone's coming knocking. Somebody wants to know, right? Yo, what's going on? You got something to give me? I got 3 children over here I gotta feed. I got a wife over here. You know, I got nieces and nephews I gotta feed. And so the best thing to do to prepare yourself is to prepare your community. And it's not just about keeping people off of you, but really it takes a community in order to really thrive. I can have, you know, we're social beings. We should want to see our neighbors do well. We should want to see our family do well. And so you can't do everything. So when I'm talking about prepare your community and build mutually beneficial relationships, they have what's called a MAG, which is the acronym for Mutual Assistance Group. That's something that, you know, you might hear in the prepper community, where I might be a master agriculturalist. You might be a teacher. We might have somebody else who's a master in the buildings trade. Another person who has mastered mechanics. And while I'm good with the food, I might need things repaired. I might need something built. I need somebody to watch my children. So we're gonna use our skill sets as a form of currency to build the community, and we're gonna pool our resources to make sure that everyone's taken care of all around across the board. So you have to start looking into your community and seeing what are the skill sets, what are the mindsets, what are what do other people bring to the table, and of course you want to make sure that people to some degree share your values, your beliefs. They don't have to believe everything that you believe. They don't have to agree with everything you say, and you don't have to agree with everything they say. But you should know at the end of the day that the lady down the hall, the brother upstairs, the sister down the street, your cousin around the corner, if something hits the fan tomorrow, we can all pull together and collectively aid one another to survive whatever situation and circumstances that we find ourselves in. And that, again, because you are economy. You as an individual human being are an entire ecosystem, right? And so when you think about economy, when you think about money, you think about finances, it's really an individual and a community thing. So the health of your financial situation is going to depend on other people, because finances are relative. if I had, and let's talk about when you think about inflation, right? Okay, you might be a thousandaire, right? Someone else might have hundreds of thousands of dollars. Another person might have millions of dollars. At the end of the day, as long as inflation keeps rising, and it is, and we're moving into the realm of hyperinflation, those dollars are going to become worth less and less and less and less and less.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care how much money you have, eventually it's going to become a burden. So you're going to have to rely on the people around you in order to survive. That's where we're going. You look at places, a perfect example is Argentina. What happened to Argentina recently? They suffered tremendously. They took a huge hit, and
Mm-hmm.
because of the, say it again?
Haiti.
Haiti, look at New Orleans, look at Puerto Rico, look at
Mm-hmm.
all these other countries in the Middle East and other places that have taken huge hits because of natural disasters,
Correct.
political and civil unrest. And they didn't know before it happened that they would be in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, again, weren't as impacted as others because they were to some degree prepared for it, right? But you want to put yourself in that position. You want to prepare yourself to be able to survive financially by following some of the tips and tools that we're giving you here tonight. So definitely prepare your community and build mutually beneficial relationships. That's a big one. Anything else to add on that point before I get to the last one?
Oh no, you good.
Yes, ma'am. So the last one. This is a big one as well. Something that most people do not consider. Practicing abstinence. Practicing abstinence. And when I say abstinence, family, I'm not just talking about not having sex until you're married. I'm talking about practicing the art of abstaining, choosing to deprive yourself of anything that is actually available, meaning choosing to abstain from water, choosing to abstain from food, choosing to abstain from sex, choosing to abstain from coffee, choosing to abstain from sleep, choosing to abstain from anything that is going to have a drain on your financial situation or negative impact on it will help you. Now, is there anything from the financial strategist point of view that people should abstain from in order to strengthen their position financially?
Absolutely. Learn the difference between want and need.
Talk about it.
And if you really know the difference between want and need. Want, I'm going to make it as simple as possible. It's whatever you put in your spending account.
Mm.
Whatever is in your spending account that's what you want. Whatever you need to be in your saving and your emergency, or you should have a short-time saving and a long-time savings. You could put it in any of the stuff that you need. And your expense account. You should have an account for
Right.
expenses like that. Brother Daniel was saying that he had one expense account, but he didn't call it that. He called it auto pay.
Well,
Auto pay
that was a account that has stuff on auto pay, yeah.
Yes, and that's your expense account. But I'm not talking about an expense account. If you can't control your want, make sure you tag that to your
Spending.
your spending account. So that's my turn on it. Learn the difference between want and need. Figure out if you really need it or you just want it. Because sometimes you may put something and say, oh, especially if you're an entrepreneur, oh, I need this type of laptop. But is it you really need it or do you want it? Can you operate
Right.
your business on a cheaper laptop? And if you can,
Right.
do that. But if it's something that
Exactly.
you need it, then you go for it. And I have a perfect example of it. In my line of field, I do taxes. There's a special printer that we could buy and make our life easier. And we could just fax the stuff and scan it and send everything up to the headquarters very easily. But I had, and it's not even expensive. But the bottom line is, it's about $500. So it's not really that expensive. But my thing is, I could do the same thing on my regular stuff. I could scan on my regular printer. So why not use what I have? If I
Right.
didn't have that, then I would go for what they are recommended. So you got to know the difference between want and need. Yeah, it's
Exactly.
recommended for the job, and the job may go a little faster, so they say. But if I already have the equipment and I could live my life and save some money on what I have, then yes, I will stick with what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, guys, about difference. Know the difference between want and need, and weigh the difference. Is it really want, or is it really need? Yeah,
Right.
that's from a financial standpoint.
Yeah, and then the money that you saved not buying that piece of equipment that you don't need, you can put that again into your insurance thing. You can put that and go buy yourself some radios. You can go buy yourself a generator, buy yourself some food for your long-term storage pantry. And so, you know, really anything. This is what we taught by the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, right? From the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that if you can abstain from water, if you can abstain from food, and if you can abstain from sleep and sex, there's nothing else that you can't discipline yourself to do. And so practicing fasting like we do in Islam or the Nation of Islam, you know, it strengthens our will. It strengthens our ability to say no to other things. So it's easy for me when I see a problem, okay, I'm going to cut back on the junk food, I'm going to cut back on this, I'm going to cut back on that. And where the benefit is for financial survival is if you can just say no to that coffee, like I said earlier, and make your own coffee, or maybe just stop drinking coffee for 6 months, you know, just abstain from it altogether, that little bit of money that you might spend in a day or 2 times a day at Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks adds up. That adds up. That becomes a light bill. That becomes a gas bill. That becomes one of those expenses that now you can have that on auto pay because you know it's there. I'm not getting it from the coffee or spending on the coffee. I'm gonna put it on that account. Abstaining from sleep. Well, how would that help? Well, the more you sleep, the less you work. If you can sleep 2 hours less throughout your 24-hour period, that's 2 hours you can put towards getting online and learning a new skill. Getting out in the world, learning a new skill, which you can transfer that into some type of income. Abstaining from eating. You know, I gave this example last time, and one of the things I teach in my class, radio communication and survival preparedness, and one of the best examples I tell people, I practice how to eat to live, right? I'm striving to learn how to practice it better and better. But we're taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that we should fast, right? Either eating 1 meal a day, 1 meal every other day, or 1 meal every 3 days. And how this helps is that not only is there a tremendous health benefit to it, but if things hit the fan tomorrow and you had 4 different people who had 90 days worth of food stocked and supplied, the same amount of food, all 4 different people have the same amount of food, and at minimum it's 90 days. The person that eats 3 meals a day is going to fly through that food in 90 days. That's all they got. The person that eats 1 meal a day, you know, they might be able to stretch it out a little bit, or they will be able to stretch it out a little bit more. Now, if you take 90 days worth of food and you discipline yourself to only eat 1 meal every 2 days, you abstain every other day, that 90-day supply of food now becomes 180 days, just like that.
Yeah.
That's a big difference. Going from having 3 months worth of food to having 6 months worth of food, just like that. And then the people who practice eat every 2 days or once every 2 days in between, then you're turning 90 days worth of food to 270 days worth of food. You can't beat that. And it's not just food. That's with your water supply. That's with your light. Maybe you might not, you know, you use a flashlight less. You do all your reading, all of the things that require light early in the morning when the light is still shining. Well, that's less time using a flashlight at night. All the stuff that you need light for, do that in the morning time. So from a survival point of view. And because if it's a grid down situation, you don't want to just run your flashlights out because you're using it all day. You don't want to run your any of that stuff out. Use your candles less. Use all this other stuff less. water conservation when it comes to a grid down situation. Water is not an easy one. It's not an easy one to store.
Correct.
It's fairly easy to acquire, but most of us don't own the size house that it would take to be able to store a year's worth of water.
Right.
You're talking about a gallon of water a day per person in your household, and you're married, you have 2 or 3 children. You're talking about 4 or 5 gallons of water a day per person. You multiply that by 30. That's 150 gallons of water. You storing 150 gallons of water in an apartment. You're not storing 150 gallons of water in an apartment. And most people don't have houses where they would be able to comfortably do that and rotate it. So let alone 60 days or 90 days or a year's worth. So abstaining and learning how to go for extended periods of time without water is gonna stretch that, and any resources that you have. So I thought that was a very important one that I had to put on there, was practicing abstinence. If you practice now depriving yourself of certain things, when things hit the fan and you don't have the money and you lose your job, whatever. I've abstained from Netflix for 6 months before I did a Netflix fast. I fasted from going out eating. I fasted from going to the movies and buying certain types of sneakers or clothing, or doing an eBay run or Amazon shopping. If you can abstain from doing those things now when you have the money to do it, when you hit a financial hardship, it's going to be a lot easier to navigate your way through that situation because you've practiced it. So that's why I had that one on there. I thought that was very important.
Yes, it is.
And so I see there's not a lot more people here. I see Sister Unica still with us. If anyone has a question, feel free. If you have any questions, please ask the questions now. Again, this has been Financial Survival with Bank on Lizzie J. I know she currently has a website under construction, so keep an eye out in that bio, because once her website is up and popping, you need to go there and check her out. In order not in order to, but when the website's up, you'll be able to go there to check our services. But in the meantime, what's the best way for people to reach you if they want to tap in with you for some insurance banking or for some financial strategy?
The fastest and the most easiest way to find me is here on IG on Bank on Lizzie J, and that's the most easiest and the fastest way. And as you said before, my website is under construction because, I'm learning how to create it myself. So once I learn how to build it myself and I completely build it, then I will be putting it out. And yes, and I'm doing financial survival on it by learning how to build the website myself. So practicing what I put.
Exactly. That's that do for self. Come on.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so also make sure you all, if you have not already, and this is for people who are watching the replay, I should say that at the beginning, but make sure you all go and follow Sister Lizzie at Bank on Lizzie J. All right. You haven't seen the replay. I have it pinned at the bottom, but it's Bank on Lizzie J. BANKON LIZZYJA. No, I'm sorry. LIZZIEJAY.
Yeah.
Lizzie J. All right, family. And that's gonna be, of course, I'm gonna have that in the caption on when I save this live. Make sure you all share out the saved live. Actually, feel free to ask questions on the saved post as well, and we will do our best to get back to you with an answer. So is there any advice, anything else that you might want to say to the people dealing with finances, dealing with financial strategy, some gems you want to leave them with?
I'm just going to wrap it up with the last thing I said. Learn the difference between need and want. That's one of the biggest things. Practice discipline. A lot of discipline. If you're struggling in that area, then you know where to find me. Utilize the what you have access to you as far as learning how to budget your money through your employer. If you work for an employer, through having them do direct deposit, or doing a 401k program like that, knowing that those vehicles that I just spoke about is not the best vehicle for a large sum of money, but for learning right now, then use that kind of vehicle. Learn to make sure that you understand that for emergency funding is just not only having a stack of cash, but you need to learn the I can't pronounce the word, but it's barter system.
Barter.
Barter system. Learn that because it will come in handy. And once you have an asset with the other stuff besides cash, that will go a long way. And just survive out there. And if when you can, make sure that you tap into a private bank and learn to have your own bank. But that is the quickest way for you to have generational wealth and be able to operate your business and your life out of that your own bank. Other than
Yes,
that,
ma'am.
you all have a blessed night or a blessed morning, and y'all have a wonderful week.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you to everybody for tapping in. We appreciate your attendance, your time, and for hanging out with us. Thank you, Sister Lizzie, for joining me and providing us with this wealth of knowledge, because at the end of the day, like I said earlier, really finance is everything, it's everywhere. There aren't many sciences, because it's a science, that you can say permeate everything, but again, we are economy, we are whole ecosystems, and understanding money is no different than understanding how to, you're really budgeting yourself, you're budgeting your energy and your time. And so thank you for spending time with us and helping us to get a grasp on surviving financially. Extremely important. Yes, ma'am. So hopefully, family, we'll be back to do a follow-up or a slightly different topic or whatever. Go back and watch the replay. Thank you, Sister Lizzie, for tapping in. I will see you soon. Peace. Okay, family, that was Financial Survival with Bank on Lizzie J. Again, if you're watching this replay, feel free to put any questions in the comment section on the replay. Also, like, share, and tag some people in this post. Share it out in your story or in your DMs to somebody you think will benefit from this information. This has been a beautiful and informative live, and I thank everybody for tapping in with us. That being said, Daniel KC1 NCF tapping out. Peace.